artery would gush out in a stream, and the prey would struggle for a few seconds, then die. The scenario was correct, but what Elka didn't anticipate was that her teeth couldn't penetrate that warm blood vessel. It started to feel strange. The Minotaur's skin was so tough that her teeth couldn't pierce it, using all her strength to bite and gnaw, but it was ineffective. Ox 4, feeling her helplessness, lowered her head slightly and asked, somewhat surprised, the young wolf, "A Minotaur's skin can't be torn so easily, just so you know." As she finished her sentence, she suddenly swung her left fist at Elki, who was biting her right arm, right in front of the horrified eyes of tribe leader Elka. The direct punch was powerful, making the small one's nose bleed. She released Ox 4's arm, immediately crying out in pain. And to make matters worse, she easily grabbed the collar of her shirt with her hand. Her body curving, Ox 4 straightened up and threw Elki forward. The little one collided with a pile of stacked wood, crying out in pain, to the point where Elko quickly released Ox 4's leg and turned towards that direction, shouting his brother's name. A moment of vulnerability meant receiving an immediate kick. Ox 4 angrily kicked straight into the wolf's abdomen. The force was so strong that she had to double over, absorbing the blow, then in no time was kicked far away, lying on her back without moving. Now only Elka, who was hanging on Ox 4's back, was also easily lifted by her. She clenched her teeth tightly, trying to tear the cow's skin, but couldn't. Her mind filled with worry that she would defeat Elko and Elki with just one blow. She mustn't let go. But her limbs and jaws full of teeth still couldn't terrifying strength of Ox 4. She dragged Elka down and threw her forcefully onto the ground, to the point where the wolf could lying there moaning in pain. At this moment, the tribe leader of the wolf tribe was as a puppy lying on its back. One of Ox 4's hands pressed Elka down, the other clenched into a fist, swinging at the speed of a ritual preparation to crush her mouth. Elka, her heart's voice faltering, "No." Just before death was imminent, it suddenly remembered its grandfather wolf, old and gentle, wrapped tribe's cloth, calling it affectionately, "Elka, listen carefully. We are a purebred silver wolf tribe. When we die and become spirits, we become one of the spirits protecting our tribe. We are much stronger than all other tribes, and we can also improve our tracking and hunting abilities by inheriting protection and will of our ancestors. The next generation inherits the essence from the previous generation and subdues larger, fiercer prey." At that time, Elka was still young, understanding little, but still remembered the warm hand shoulder when her grandfather mentioned, "Our honor is also that of our ancestors. We must behave properly and live with pride." His words were so gentle that a wolf like Elka eagerly listened. To not destroy the honor of the ancestors who have paved the way, one day we will all have an answer. As for what to answer, little Elka wasn't sure. She just knew it full and followed the teachings obediently. With her tiny fist clenched tightly, Elka replied, "Yes, sir, for the honor of our ancestors." And as time passed, it became increasingly harsh, until a child full of faith like Elka looked at the cracked land devoid of any water, if it would ever find an answer for itself. Since childhood, the tribe had been debating the prolonged famine, the food gradually scarce to an unbelievable extent. The western tribe plundered and massacred each other too. Then one night, Elka's tiny village was attacked by another pack of wolves. They killed and set to large fires to destroy the camp. Elka watching her grandfather being killed. Her father tried to kill him out from the raging sea of fire. Elka's father had inherited the position of tribal chief not long ago. The people crowded in to question him. "Is it true that you are working for Gr? Aren't you ashamed, ancestors? Are they watching us?" "Yes, how can we the leadership of that lowly boar? You're the first to do this." The loud the tribal chief silenced everyone. Elka remembered her father pushing her back to his helpless face when he spoke to the people. "We have no other choice. If we can survive until tomorrow, is the time to think about the children." Elka's father stroked the head of his little son, in pain, but still speaking. "For the sake of our children, and in our honor at any time. And the ancestors will understand why we have to do such dirty things assigned by that landlord, just to enrich him." The wolf tribe has been doing dirty work since then, doing things contrary to the ancestors to ensure survival. And when Elka grew up to inherit the position of tribal chief, it didn't change from its father's ways. Even knowing it was wrong, it could only console itself. Will you understand me, won't you? Ox 4 pulled his fist back, shaking off the dirt and pebbles, staring at the unconscious wolf tribe chief, still. Because perhaps Elka was frightened by Ox 4's punch, fainting, even though she only punched into the ground beside. Out of curiosity, he touched the wolf's ears. Not seeing Elka waking up, he boldly stepped forward to lift the ear. Still unconscious, huh? Ox 4 chuckled, clapping his fists together, and asked Theo, "His leg so he won't follow us anymore?" Jumped up and asked again, "Meow?" But then he realized it wasn't right, so he waved his arms to reply, "It's not good for this guy to but breaking his leg is too cruel. Anyway, he's just a domesticated cat. Anything related to business, Theo is quick, so let my uncle handle it." The three wolves were tied up tightly by Ox 3 and Ox 4, because Theo said to Tay, "Sejin will decide." This time, there's a big harvest. I wonder if these wolves will be put into the labor union? Sejin's cave seems to be getting more and more known. Right now he's singing loud, completely unaware of the hole in his head, shaved so clean that it shines, reflecting light the sweaty heads of the hare and the red bear. He turned around, asking Pipipi what to do now. The red bear didn't know how to deal with balls either, so he shook his head quickly. So both just stood there stiff, unable to stop up to see how far he had gone. Finished, or what that feels refreshing? Unexpectedly, his fingertip bald spot quickly stood up screaming, "What? What the hell is that? Why is there a bald spot on my head?" Pipipi and Hare quickly covered their mouths, staring at their owner as if going crazy. Seeing the queen bee flying over, Sejin quickly brushed his long hair one to see how the bald spot looked. Knowing what happened, I told Theo to bring a mirror. The hare, full of guilt, kept bowing and apologizing to Sejin, constantly, peeping sorry, almost kneeling down. He didn't want to scold the little one just for this, so he waved his hand generously. Everyone makes mistakes times. But who sees this? Here there is one human, everyone else is monsters. He chuckled falsely, and straw hat on his head as an illustration. If I use a straw hat, no one will see it. Just saying that, Sejin tightly grabbed the hat brim, ran to the forest, and sat down like a ghost. Seeing that, Cook felt it difficult to comfort themselves. As soon as the mother rabbit came out, saw the scene of the owner sitting aside praying, the dejected son sitting in one place, not daring to come near, ran over to ask what was going on. The mother rabbit would be comforting first, but unexpectedly upon hearing of owner being shaved bald by the son, Mother Rabbit sighed deeply. Say didn't want them to worry. He swallowed his tears, pulled the straw hat in embarrassment and back. "It's okay, Mom Rabbit." Hare stuck close to Sejin's leg, rubbing, meaning to listen to his mom. A moment later, the young man wrapped himself in a blanket of onion leaves, once again using the VIP service of the prehistoric barbershop. But this time the barber had changed. Behind Sejin's back, the Muppet was rummaging in her magical bag, out a sharp grass-cutting scissors. The mother rabbit happily giggled. Incidentally, the plus point is the trustworthiness of this employee's face. At that time, Aileen was lying in the room, reading a red-covered book, enjoying some leisure time, reached into the onion leaf basket and pulled out something to eat. However, the cherry tomatoes were all gone. How could that be so fast? The dragon felt sad looking at it. Since it had grown bigger, the amount of food consumed had suddenly become much less, unable to satisfy its hunger. Thinking of Sejin's tough face, Aileen didn't dare to ask for more. Last time he misunderstood disastrously, asking a very silly question. "Are you a winged pig?" No. Aileen stepped back to find the careful farmer. "I need some snacks, Park Sejin. Come out quickly, Park Sejin." Suddenly her eyes caught something strange on the orb, so she squinted and asked closely. Beside Sejin, a notice board appeared. The tower manager asked what was happening. At that moment, Sejin was busy in his tomato field, still not forgetting to ask, "Is that Aileen? Oh, I thought it was something serious." Turns out there's something that made Aileen more curious than her empty basket of cherry tomatoes, which is what's on Sejin's head like that. He took off the straw hat for the dragon to see clearly, saying his hair was too long, so he asked Mother Rabbit to help cut it. "How does it look? Isn't it weird?" Sejin hesitantly scratched his neck, but his lips curved into a smile, as if he knew he was handsome, but pretended to be shy to ask for opinions. Perhaps it has discovered what its man's taste is like. The dragon looked at Sejin's short hair in surprise. It opened its eyes wide, looking back and forth in disbelief. How could this farmer look so different after just one meeting? Still no response from the tower manager. Sejun found it strange, seeing the window status still showing, but no text, so he called Aileen. Still no response. He waved his hand back and forth like shooing flies. Why aren't you answering? Hello, hello. How do you feel about this hairstyle? Seeing Sejun's annoyed face in the orb, the little one had to rearrange her words a bit before speaking. She was stunned because Sejun's interface didn't look like a farmer's. To be more accurate, he looked too handsome, making her dragon heart beat fast. At this point, I don't understand how human aesthetics can appeal to Aileen as well. Is she a female dragon who loves Oppa? Sejun's face pressed close to the screen, his hand touching to see if the system had any errors. Take advantage of calling Aileen, making her blush and stand up all her hair. Anyone who doesn't know might think she's into guys. Hastily signaling Sejun, he read the message from the tower manager, not wanting him to come closer, so he backed away, thinking he had done something wrong, and asked what was wrong. The text appeared immediately. The manager said there was nothing wrong. She just said she couldn't take her eyes off for a second. The tower manager is asking you to bring her some shrimp from yesterday. Sejun rubbed his head, pretending to understand. Thought it was something else, still making a mysterious appearance just for food. He sat down to be at eye level with the small board, softly said, "But I'm afraid this time you'll have to eat more slowly than last time." Lately, the number of shrimp is gradually decreasing. At the moment, there are only 1 to 3 left. Also because there are shrimp, there are no piranhas. He walked to the food storage area while talking to the system board next to him. These days I've been eating vegetables only, feeling much lighter now. Who knows, it might be good for you too. Sejun took out some cleaned corn in the basket made from onion leaves. Holding it up, he asked Aileen, "Can you accept tomatoes and corn instead?" Seeing the text change to "Tower Manager thanks you," Sejun smiled and raised the food basket to ask again. "You're probably out of dried potatoes too, right?" Suddenly, he saw the words "and" hesitate, then asked again, "And what else?" The tower manager said the new hair suits you. Aileen only showed that line of text and then put away the notification board, as if shy and afraid of being praised. After a while, Sejun finally understood, but didn't understand what the tower manager was up to. What's up with Aileen? Does she know how to praise people? But chatting like this should be enough. He looked up at the mouth of the cave, filled with sunlight, straightened his shoulders to encourage himself to focus on work, right? The basket of onion leaves suddenly trembled strangely in Eileen's hands. Anyone who didn't know might think she was very cold, but it was actually because her dragon hands were trembling with excitement. Aileen held the basket of corn as if holding a treasure, staring at it intently with flushed cheeks, her heart beating loudly, thumping in her chest. Feeling uncomfortable, she raised her hand to feel it, wondering why it was beating so wildly today. Could this be a strange phenomenon of a dragon's heart? Before eating the tomatoes grown by Sejun, Eileen's heart had never beaten. Now, because of a basket of corn, it was beating like crazy? No. She kept shaking her head to push away those silly thoughts from her mind. After regulating her heartbeat, Aileen reassured herself that she was just too surprised by Park Sejun's sudden change in appearance. Mainly, she was just getting food from him. Now that she had it, she had to eat. Suddenly, as her eyes focused on the basket full of corn, the dragon paused. It recalled Sejun's words earlier. Eating those things is very good for your body. Suddenly, Aileen came up with an idea, so she went to the bookshelf and rummaged through several red and blue books, muttering to herself that she was sure it was around here somewhere. After a while, she found it. Her large dragon claw pulled out a thick black-covered book with deep gold letters, Timeless Recipe Collection, with very professional illustrations. Excitedly, Aileen opened the book, silently calling out to Park Sejun, "I will make something special for you, with all my heart." Aileen blushed and put the book on her face as if she was telling Sejun. The next day, when she finally showed herself, she saw Theo's excitement. He looked shiny, raising his hand to greet. "Hello, human. I'm here." It had been a long time since the merchant cat arrived. The knights responded immediately, unanimously welcoming the traveling merchant cat. "How many tomatoes do you want to sell today, sir? Tell us quickly. There are many people needing to buy it." Theo's arrival was bewildered by this scene. Why does everyone look so hurried today? His hand forcefully placed the large basket of tomatoes from his spatial pouch on the ground, asking why everyone is in such a rush. For auction in batches, each batch of 400, a total of 3,600 tomatoes. What? The crowd gasped at the number 3,600. Normally, Theo only sells about 2,000, divided into 5 batches, meaning this time he's carrying almost twice as much to sell. Then the bidding commotion echoed throughout the area. Starting at 120 tower coins, the first 400 tomatoes were quickly sold for 200 coins. In no time, 4 batches were sold quickly. Theo was reaching into his pouch to pull out the next 2,000 tomatoes to sell. Suddenly, a strange voice from above stopped him. "Wait a moment, traveling merchant cat. I will buy all the remaining tomatoes for 1,600 tower coins." A young warrior holding a heavy pouch of gold coins walked alongside a man in a suit. Before Theo could respond, he turned to the remaining crowd and cheerfully asked, "No one wants to bid against Gagel, right? I wonder how many times more he bid than Theo sold them for." He left 2,000 tomatoes in the large onion baskets for the warrior, closed the deal immediately, then bid farewell and left. Company employees rushed to carry the tomatoes away immediately, leaving behind a disgruntled crowd gossiping. "There are no more tomatoes outside the tower, so we can't buy them to resell. Why would a big company want to monopolize everything like this?" Dongshik arrived later, so he didn't participate in buying, just listened to the crowd discussing. Even his team was scratching their heads over this. They lamented, "Ordinary hunters like us will never be able to buy cherry tomatoes again. Damn it, I was planning to buy some as a gift for my fiancé preparing for our meeting next month. When are you going to send out the wedding invitations?" Dongshik just stood and listened without adding anything because he was busy hiding his smile. "You're really sharp, Theo. I can go make another deal with Park Sejun on the 40th floor by..." Before he could finish his thought, he heard the loud outcry from Gagel's company crowd. "Everyone, come here and see the choice of cherry tomatoes." The grower's name never appeared before, but now it's revealed. They gathered to pick it up and see. His name is concise, clearly Korean, Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Dongshik hurriedly ran to him, grabbed a tomato, and eagerly said, "Hey, let me see this for a moment." Not even a second passed before the stats board appeared, and it felt like a century to him. Magical cherry tomatoes, grown in the tower with rich nutrition and delicious taste. When eaten, it can break down 20 grams of body fat and increase stamina by 0.2 points in 10 minutes, enhancing a sense of well-being. Can stack effects up to 10 layers in 1 hour. Grown by Park Sejun, shelf life 60 days, grade D. Dongshik was gaping in disbelief. He knew the grower's name, but how could a tower farmer be so clear? The soldier barked orders to the Gagel staff, quickly returned to the guild's camp on the first floor, and immediately learn about Park Sejun. "We have to get him on our side. Bring the American Hunters Guild to Korea immediately." After giving the order, he looked at the small tomato in his hand and laughed heartily. "We've got valuable information. We'll receive endless praise from the vice president. I'll congratulate myself on my promotion right away." Dongshik stood from afar, watching him laugh happily at the wide-open path of success, along with the staff carrying 2,000 cherry tomatoes leaving, feeling cold inside. "Damn it, with this situation, I'll lose a valuable opportunity. Above all, Park Sejun's family will be in danger." For the wealthy outside the tower, cherry tomatoes are more valuable than gemstones. If grown inside the tower, they are likely to be threatened or kidnapped to control the monopoly, forcing Sejun to do what is beneficial for the conglomerates. Dongshik pondered, based on what Theo said the day before, Park Sejun has never left the tower for any mission, but he only receives information from outside through Theo, so he probably knows nothing about the current situation. While pondering, he heard Theo's voice next to him. "Ah, here's Mr. Kim Dongshik. I was just about to." Before the word "find" could leave his mouth, he hurriedly hugged the cat and ran off. Who doesn't know might think the captain of this hunting team is a dog thief. Without explaining a word, he carried the cat through a sparse forest, glanced back to make sure no one was nearby to hear their conversation. Theo was clueless. He startled him, hurriedly asking what's wrong. He gently put the cat down, then asked Theo why the grower's identity suddenly appeared. Before, the grower's name was hidden, so why is it suddenly clear now, both the first and last names? Theo didn't understand why Dongshik seemed worried, but he still explained, "Because I've become a wandering thungmyo of moderate rank. Previously, to protect wandering merchants, the grower or producer's name would be hidden. But what's going on?" He skipped the beginning and middle parts and went straight to the last part about Park Sejun's family being in danger, startling Theo. "I don't know the situation inside the tower, But right now, everyone is in chaos because of the cherry tomatoes outside the tower. Everything has been stable so far because the grower's name was hidden. But now that your name, Park Sejun, has been revealed, many people are willing to do bad things to control the monopoly of cherry tomatoes. They will target Sejun's family. Theo worriedly approached and asked if it was because of him? Because he became a moderate-ranking wandering Thungmyo? What should we do? It's a big trouble. I'll be scolded by the president. Seeing it all tangled up like this, Dong-shik quickly reassured him. Don't worry. I, Kim Dong-shik, will protect Park Sejun's family, even if it means putting the honor of the Funghwang Guild at stake. Theo listened and then thanked him softly. After a while, Dong-shik said, then we must quickly return to the lower floors of the tower. The cat just remembered why it came to find Dong-shik in the first place. It rummaged through its pouch, saying there was something it needed before he left. It placed 2 baskets of corn and carrots that had been cleaned right in front of Dong-shik. With joy, it said these are gifts from Mr. Sejun for the family. The terms are still the same. The price is 200 magic cherry tomatoes. Dong-shik had never seen these before. Curious, he picked them up to see an information board appear, amazed by the nimble carrots and durable corn. Amazing good job. If the world knew about this, then what? Theo looked up, worried, asking if there's any danger. Dong-shik, with a reassuring tone, said nothing to worry about. Trust me, don't worry. Tell Sejun I'll safely deliver these to them. Theo agreed, leaving 3 large baskets of vegetables for Dong-shik before waving goodbye and leaving. Dong-shik didn't know how he could carry them all by himself anymore, but what he thought most when looking at this pile was, exactly as he thought, he must inform the boss about this. At the entrance to the 38th floor's traveler's path, Minotaur sat waiting for Theo to return with many bundles of onions prepared. Beside were 3 tightly bound angry wolves, ignoring the hurried crowd passing by. Elke and Elko were bound, looking like they had accepted their capture. Only tribe leader Elka refused to comply, now with his mouth open cursing, "You miserable little cows. Your pride is destroyed by such simple thoughts." Seeing the 2 still chewing, Elka continued to curse. How could you work for such a lowly wandering Thungmyo? Are you also naive? If ordered to wait, then wait. If ordered to leave, then leave. Right? Are the legends about the monster on the 99th floor all nonsense? Ox 4 is immune to such provocations, but still finds it unpleasant. Turning to Ox 3, asking if they should hit him again, he tightly holds a green onion to prevent it. No, Ox 4, he'll die if you hit him again. Just then, Theo runs back, shouting urgently, "There's an emergency. Let's go quickly." Ox 3 sees it running on all 4s and asks why he's back so fast. Seeing the cat's urgency, Ox 3 worries and asks, "Is something urgent? What's the matter?" Deciding to keep it brief, that's Sejun's family. Well, it seems too long, so it changes to, "I'll explain on the way." So the 2 cows carry the 3 wolves back to the 99th floor immediately. Elka alone carries the 3, because its mouth is too noisy, constantly growling, demanding to be released. "Quickly release me, Minotaur." Thinking it's out of food, Ox 4 mutters it'll have to eat mud again when it returns there. Suddenly, Theo says wait for a moment. It looks over to a roadside stall, saying they have to stop by this vendor for a moment. Theo picks up a ring with a sparkling purple stone and asks how much it costs. The stall owner says 2 thap coins while looking up, startled to see 2 large shadows looming over where they stand. It's Ox 3 and Ox 4 not standing far. Curious, they approach to see what's happening. Their appearance terrifies people, making Theo's cheerful face turn pale. "Please give us a discount." Asking for a discount with 2 tall subordinates behind, who would dare to refuse? The skyscraper stood tall amidst the bustling city of Seoul, South Korea, a hub for many conglomerates, as well as the affluent who resided in towering apartments. Kim Dong-shik looked bewildered, shivering in the piercing cold reminiscent of the North Pole, as he listened to the deep, gravelly voice of a man reading, Park Sejun, 26 years old. Disappearing abruptly amidst the rushing crowd, he was speculated to have ascended to the 40th floor in a remarkably short time. Clad in layers so thick that nothing could be seen but his face, Kim Dong-shik still trembled uncontrollably as he heard the other person continue reading, his current whereabouts unknown. Recently, rumors surfaced that he was the cultivator of magic tomato distributed by a syndicate. Han Tae-jun, former leader of the Phoenix Association in South Korea, and now a member of the Korean Awakening Society, glanced away from the paper. Musing about the farmer in a skyscraper, it was quite amusing indeed. Around the room, the freezer emitted a chilling mist, enveloping the entire space in a frigid haze, yet he remained comfortably lounging with his feet atop a block of ice. Kim Jong-shik, his voice trembling, asked Han Tae-jun, "Sir, are you all right?" He lifted his white beard to reveal his gleaming white teeth, repeating the question, "You ask if I'm all right? Who do you think I am?" Tae-jun stood up abruptly, stomping his foot on the table, shattering both the pot and the ice with a loud bang. His hair, beard, and mustache stood on end, changing color like a blazing fire, accompanying his tone as if preparing for battle with his adversary. As his students gaped in astonishment, Tae-jun's head was engulfed in flames, only his senses and mouth visible amid the roaring. Just the thought of him concealing such a genius until now, and now breaking through to the 40th floor, was enough to drive me insane. Am I really locked in this boring freezer, licking my fingers, while he asks if I'm okay? The flames from his opponent became unbearable for Dong-shik, forcing him to remove his hat, revealing a forehead drenched in sweat. With a temper as fiery as his, wasn't it Tae-jun who also reached the 52nd floor, but just didn't officially announce it? That's different, Tae-jun roared like a lion. Quickly tell me, Kim Dong-shik, are you hiding something else? He didn't even seem scared, just hurriedly clarifying that everything he knew was as reported. The job of a skyscraper farmer is a job unheard of, unrecognized. Oh my, he surely didn't read it. The paper turned to ashes before Tae-jun returned to his original white-haired form, sitting down as if he hadn't just turned into a fire god or smashed things around the house, pretending to cough as if it wasn't funny at all. Kim Dong-shik was too accustomed to this old man's behavior to bother arguing, merely casting a glance at the large scar on Tae-jun's arm emitting smoke and asking, the curse of the flames spreading further. Tae-jun acted as if he just realized, raising his own hand for inspection before adopting a somewhat annoying tone, looking rather dreadful. If it weren't for this matter, I would have dashed into the tower immediately. So, what brings you here? He frowned at Dong-shik, advising him not to come here to witness his master struggling with these matters. Finally, it was his turn to speak. Dong-shik explained that he came here to request assistance from the Korean Awakening Association to protect Park Se-jun's family. Ever since the identity of the cultivator of magic tomato was revealed to be a Korean, the whole world would rush to pressure their household. Tae-jun reassured him, leaning back comfortably on the sofa, telling him not to worry. He had organized a protection team as soon as he received the call. It would be convenient for them to take responsibility since they knew each other. They couldn't let such a valuable talent of the nation fall into the hands of others. Rumor has it that many countries are trying to contact for more information. He should confirm it. Dong-shik, astonished, poured all his gratitude into thanking him. Exactly as I expected from you. He took out a small basket of magic tomatoes and respectfully handed it to Tae-jun, saying it was a gift for him. A gift for an old man? And so many of them? Tae-jun was surprised, unable to connect it with what he had read in the report earlier, so Dong-shik explained. These are the magic tomatoes Park Se-jun grows, given to him by the syndicate. They may not be worth much, but they will surely be useful to you. He eagerly examined the small object in his large hands, not bothering to conceal his excitement. Ah! These are the magic tomatoes indeed. It's a waste to give a gift without eating it right away, Tae-jun said unceremoniously, popping one into his mouth, happily complimenting its taste. With Tae-jun's hot temper subsided, Dong-shik moved on to the low-income apartment complex where Se-jun's parents lived. As the family of three came out to greet their guests, they saw 3 baskets full of assorted vegetables, their eyes widening in surprise. The baskets were filled to the brim with magic tomatoes, while carrots and corn were neatly arranged, almost overflowing. They wondered why there was no announcement about safe food storage for the public. Sadal stepped forward and asked, "Corn, carrots, and magic tomatoes, right?" Just by looking, he knew they were the highly sought-after items in the tower these days. Magic tomato for weight loss, along with carrots and corn, Dong-shik confirmed, then solemnly told the parents that they might not realize the current situation, but many people were targeting their son, so they should prepare to leave. Before Se-jun's mother could worry and ask questions, Dong-shik continued, saying the Korean Awakening Association wanted to protect them, so they had prepared a house in Hanam-dong for them. Mom and Dad were still surprised. Sedol eagerly asked, "Isn't that where famous people live? Amazing! Who's the neighbor then?" Dong-shik replied, "My family and I live there," and Sedol immediately lost interest. "Oh my, do you think there's a girl group nearby?" Not sounding upset, he cheerfully asked Sedol if he liked such a girl group and if he knew LJSN. Sedol happily replied, "Of course I know them. Who in Korea doesn't know about that group?" Seeing Dongshik's confident smile, Sedol felt a sense of anticipation, as if he was about to be shown a surprise related to the idol girl group. "My daughter Sarah is a member of LJSN. If you're a fan, we'd be happy to invite you over," said Dongshik. In the photo, Dongshik was pictured with Sarah on their high school graduation day. Looking more humble now, Sedol still easily recognized her and exclaimed, "Oh my, the leader and main vocalist of LJSN, Sarah, right?" Sedol was so excited that he was almost out of breath. "She's a genius among songwriters, lyricists, and performers in the group," Dongshik confirmed. "Even her looks are genius level. Isn't that Sarah?" On the album cover, she mentioned her father was a hunter. Who knew it was Captain Kim Dongshik? Sedol suddenly bowed forward, continuously bowing like he was worshipping a deity. In the astonished eyes of his parents, he shouted, "Oh Dad, please take me there." Sedol rushed forward to shake Dongshik's hand eagerly. "I love you, Dad. Thank you so much. Why is he acting like this?" His father turned to ask his wife, who just smiled kindly and replied, "He's worried about Sejun. That kid's so filial," she added. "Said he's making money in the tower, but who knew he's actually a farmer? Our son is working hard, so who's taking care of that little one?" As she said this, Eileen's face appeared, and they understood. The dragon was focused on reading a cooking recipe while the pot boiled vigorously. "I'll add some magic mushrooms for a hungry demon that's been starving for 1,000 years, she murmured. "Now just need to season it a bit more." The dragon's large hand sprinkled spices, and suddenly, the contents of the pot glowed brightly like a lamp. Aileen turned away to avoid the glare, but she wasn't surprised to see her dish shining brightly. Waiting for the light to dim, she eagerly turned back to see how her dish looked now. There was still some light with floating colored particles above, but the dragon knew it was done. After all the effort, she finally saw the results. Under the sunlight, Sejun's legendary onion crop stood tall. It had been a long time since he had seen sunlight spread across the entire planting area, unlike before, when only the areas near the cave mouth received sunlight. He had collected seeds from onion flowers 2 weeks ago, and the onion plants grown from those seeds were thriving. Seeing Mook looking up expectantly, we could harvest them right now. Sejun eagerly grabbed a long onion leaf, decisively cutting it to see if it differed from the ones grown below the cave. To his surprise, there was only a plain onion leaf in his hand, and the farmer frowned, wondering why he didn't see the status window. Could it be because this isn't considered a fruit? When Mook pointed at the onion root and said, "Pikapaki," Sejun began to suspect something. Following the rabbit's lead, the young man lifted the entire onion plant high, revealing its roots, so it could be considered a complete harvest. At this moment, a new status window popped up, indicating that he had harvested a detoxifying onion plant. Successive notifications appeared, informing him that thanks to the level 4 harvesting effect, he had harvested a crop 1 level higher. His work experience level kept increasing continuously. With the skill effect of leveling up mastery to level 1, the harvesting mastery level 3 increased by an additional 5%, earning him 36 experience points. This was a new item, so it had its own information window. This is the detoxifying onion leaf grown inside the tower. Very nutritious and tasty. The detox function of the liver will activate within 24 hours after consumption. The grower is Park Sejun. Usage time is 135 days, grade C+. He cheered excitedly, just as he expected. This is an item, so the status window will definitely appear when planting fruits or seeds. I should have harvested seeds and planted them long ago. Mook cheered with Pika Pipi, excited about having a new dish to eat. I have to test it out now. Sejun put it in his mouth to chew along with Mook. I wonder what the detoxifying onion leaf tastes like? Sejun chewed it thoroughly down to the root, then looked down at Mook, who had his hands out like, hello. He had to admit the taste wasn't much different from the normal onion leaves he usually ate. He wasn't sure about the detox function, but Sejun was still very happy. Activating the liver function would be very helpful for those who drink alcohol, right? Onion leaves grow very quickly, so when there are many leaves, I will sell them. Chubby Rabbit jumped up from below the cave, waving his hand, indicating it's time to eat. Sejun and Mook went down to the cave, heading to the pond that had been the main source of protein for everyone. The water in the pond today was clear without any ripples, making Sejun and the rabbits worried. Indeed, as he thought, the number of piranhas and shrimp was decreasing day by day. Even if he took out blood to attract the fish, they wouldn't bother to show up. Well, That's it then. Seijin looked at them and comforted himself. We won't be able to eat meat for a while. Chubby stood up straight, looking panicked. That was his favorite food. Suddenly, a message window appeared next to him, surprising Seijin. Was it from Aileen? It said, "The tower manager said she has prepared a 200-day anniversary gift for you at the tower." On the other side of the pond, Chubby felt the world just collapsed while Mook comforted him. Seijin was surprised and asked the manager again, "Have I been here for 200 days already? And that she's going to give me a gift?" I'm very touched that she prepared it. So what's the gift? He just asked, and the status window changed to a new, quite big task, giving a magic tomato to Aileen. Reward secret. This one's simple. Seijin just handed over the tomato. It was quickly withdrawn and disappeared from his hand. So the task is completed, and the reward will be given when the task is completed. You have received Aileen's healthy soup as a reward. Seijin still didn't understand what it was. The huge copper pot with sturdy legs appeared out of nowhere and landed in front of him. It looked like an incense burner placed in front of temples for hundreds of people to light incense sticks. Seijin's face turned pale as he looked at it. What is this? He was understandably panicked because the boiling green liquid inside looked eerie. A tag floated up, full of veins and bloodstains, half of a ribcage still intact, some demon fingers with black nails attached, a frog that looked poisoned and dead, and that must be a bee. As it was an item, it naturally had a status window, clearly labeled as Aileen's healthy soup, the first meal cooked by the great black dragon Aileen Fratani in her life. There's no guarantee about the taste, but the effect is excellent. If you survive, all your stats increase by 3 points after consumption. The body is poisoned by level C paralysis toxin after consumption and level C acid toxin after consumption. The chef is the great black dragon Aileen Fratani, grade A. Seijin was as bewildered as the rabbits. They recoiled from the smell emanating from that pot, horror written all over their faces. He sniffed it, anxiously asking, "Did you really cook this for me?" The status window said the tower manager was going to sleep from exhaustion due to putting too much effort into cooking. Seijin felt even more embarrassed. She had tried so hard, but how did she end up with such a result? Aileen, of course, was unaware of Seijin's mounting anxiety. She was lying on her bed, laughing foolishly, gazing at Seijin's face through the crystal ball, muttering to herself, "I put a lot of effort into it, so you must finish it all." The dragon curled up to sleep, not forgetting to add, "And I'll listen to reviews later. If you're not done eating by the time I wake up, I'll kill you." The dragon's snoring echoed as the notification window disappeared. Seijin felt like he was going crazy, jumping up and grabbing the notification board, shouting, "Aileen, Aileen," as if he wanted to spit out all his saliva. The rabbits were frightened and didn't know what to do. Seijin looked at the disappearing notification window in his hand, sinking into despair. The pot of green soup was still boiling vigorously. He pointed at it blankly, saying he wanted to recruit some rabbits to help him eat the soup. They all ran away in a hurry. Even Chubby the rabbit, who normally didn't move much, ran away quickly. Even Mook, who was closest to him, was now avoiding him. Seeing them all run away quickly, Seijin felt too hurt. Tears streamed down his face as he called out, "Don't leave me, guys." But they still left. Even Dio, who sniffed the air and looked at the green interface corner, stayed away. As a honeybee that made honey for a living, that thing was an affront to its taste buds. Seijin was at his wit's end. All the animals had run away, leaving him alone to face the boiling mess in front of him. He gritted his teeth, trying to look away from the floating things in the pot to read the system's words. All attributes increased by 3 points after eating, poisoned by level C paralysis toxin and level C acid toxin after eating. Seijin crossed his arms and looked at the pot seriously. If he ate this, all his stats would increase by 3 points. This is a very good item, but with level C paralysis and acid toxins, eating it despite knowing the risks is too reckless. Seeing Seijin not asking them to eat it, the rabbits slowly returned, and suddenly Mook called out to the crowd with small pee-pee sounds. He said he just came up with a great idea. It was this bundle of green onions. Ink held it up excitedly, as if he had just made the greatest discovery. Seijin quickly understood its meaning. Right, we have antidote-grade green onions. With these, everything will be okay. Chubby pushed a cart of green onions to Seijin, stacking some by his feet just in case. Dio lay on the hat, listening to him mutter, "At least if I eat this, I won't die from the poison. I have to eat a lot of it." As he put it into his mouth, a status window popped up. You have eaten antidote-grade green onions. You may be cured of low-grade poison within the next hour. The effect was exactly as Sejin had hoped, making him excited. He held the spoon in his hand, ready with everything he needed. He wondered what it would taste like. It didn't look appetizing, but maybe it would taste better than he thought. Full of anticipation and hope, Sejin scooped a spoonful of the green liquid into his mouth, not forgetting to thank Eileen for bringing him food. Ink stood by, cheering eagerly, extremely eager to see the farmer swallow it to see the effect. As soon as it touched his lips, Sejin could smell the healthy soup. Suddenly, he spat it out like fireworks, spraying it onto the heads of the poor souls below. Dio was the first to be hit. Chubby squealed and ran, becoming the second victim. Dio shrank, angrily turning to the farmer, doubling over and vomiting everything in his stomach. At this point, Sejin was only focused on scraping out what he had just eaten. He didn't even notice that Chubby was stamping his feet in dissatisfaction. Damn it, what the hell? People say bitter medicine cures illness. The bitterer, the better. But this was just awful, the worst of the worst. The system panel jumped next to him. You have been poisoned by grade C paralytic drugs, poisoned by grade C acid. Sejin clenched his fists, cursing. Aileen, you damn winged pig. His mind pictured the tower manager as a plump pink pig, concocting ingredients with a wicked smile on her lips, laughing. Ha ha ha, I don't need another tower farmer. Did she want to kill him? Unable to bear it, Sejin placed his hands on either side of the vial, using his muscles to lift it up to drink vigorously, determined to finish it in one go. His eyes closed tightly, sweat pouring down his body, frightening the rabbits below, who thought this farmer was committing suicide. Sejin's face paled. Every sip he swallowed felt like a huge sweat drop falling off a wagon wheel. His eyebrows furrowed, his forehead wrinkled, encouraging himself that he could do it. He would definitely see the final result. But the last thing in the vial wasn't the bottom, it was the sight of someone gaping at him, staring at him. Unable to hold back, he let out a horrified scream, dropping the vial. The vial flew, tipping over, and something fell out, like a flopping fish in Sejin's shrill cry. Damn it, what the hell? The rabbits below looked on in shock. No one cared about the vial until it fell into the only water hole in the cave. This vial was definitely it, tipping over to let the green liquid slowly dissolve into the water in the pond. Everyone present was stunned, especially Sejin, who was in shock, unable to help but scream, "Oh my God!" Because he was shocked, he threw it away. The system continued to announce, "You have consumed all of Aileen's health soup. All attributes increased by 3 points. You have killed a piranha, gained 2 experience points." Just as the farmer's face turned pale, the system continued to announce, "You have killed a giant electric eel, gaining 5,000 experience points." Needless to say, Sejin was shocked. He shouted, "What a giant electric eel!" He had never known there were such terrifying creatures under this pond. It was all because this pond had been contaminated. Sejin and the rabbits outside looked at the green liquid gradually dissolving along with the color of the pond. Dio didn't need to use the water in it, but the rabbits were sulking. Chubby was so furious that he jumped up, continuously scolding Sejin, while Ink just sighed, not bothering to speak. Now the farmer didn't know what to do other than apologize, scratching his hat in earnest. "I was too panicked, so I couldn't hold on to it. We can't eat anything from the pond for a while, but we can solve the drinking water problem by using water from the rabbit dad's watering can." However, Sejin was most worried about the pit in the pond, where shrimp and fish crawled out to provide protein for the whole farm. According to the system panel, many piranhas and shrimp had died after being poisoned, and even a giant electric eel didn't make it. Sejin didn't know how big it was to be called giant, but if there were such large animals, there must be a larger ecosystem in the pit. The number of piranhas and mud shrimp moving into the pond recently had decreased significantly. I've been thinking about this issue for a long time without finding a solution. If I can find a way, we'll have all the protein sources in the future. When it came to food, Ink forgot about the earlier incident and jumped onto the shore, Pika Pika responding enthusiastically. It just pointed to the pond, waving its arms continuously, alternately proposing a search below. Sejin couldn't believe it and asked, "You want to try swimming across the pit?" The rabbit nodded vigorously, its face full of confidence, as if it just needed Sejin's. Okay, it would jump in without hesitation. But the farmer disagreed, patiently telling it that the pond water was still poisoned. Even if you've eaten antidote onions, this pond is too small. If something goes wrong while swimming there and you get stuck in the pit, you won't be able to come back, and you might even die there. Seijin comforted Ink, understanding its feelings, but it was very important, so he couldn't let it go to such a dangerous place. The rabbit's eyes sparkled as it listened to him continue. At least let's think about it after the pond water has been diluted to a certain extent. It'll be okay, guys. Seijin showed determination in front of the rabbits to reassure them. We still have plenty of saved food, so we'll be fine for a while. So let's cheer up. The rabbits joined in with Seijin, and it was another sunny day in the prehistoric cave. Far away, on the edge of level 99, was the waypoint, the Minotaur King's base on the desolated rocky land. The Minotaur King sat on his large golden throne, chin resting on his hand, looking pensive, but there was no joy on his face. Because where is Ox 3? Has it forgotten my orders? Looking down at the subordinates with a large X on their chests, the Minotaur King asked Ox 1, "Has Ox 4 still not returned after looking for 3? Ox 1 cautiously replied, "That's correct, Your Majesty. She still hasn't returned. It's been a long time, so Ox 1 is worried that something has happened. Maybe they've wandered into the territory of the red fur or the territory of the venomous bees while looking for good grass, and isn't it dangerous there? Or they've gone where those terrible names are. I heard that once you set foot there, even the bodies are gone." The Minotaur King pondered. Ox 3 may be weak, but Ox 4 is not an easy warrior to defeat. But it's still worrying. The Minotaur King stood up, ordering Ox 1 to gather at 100. "You'll stay at the waypoint and temporarily take charge of my position. It seems that I have to personally go there to find those two." The Minotaur King gritted his teeth because he was thinking that surely the upcoming journey won't be easy. Meanwhile, in Seijin's vast field, he had just harvested all the green onions of this season, stacking them up so high that it was almost looking dark in front of the farmer. It took the whole day for everyone, and Seijin now breathed a sigh of relief looking at this pile. It should be enough for 100 minotaurs to eat until they're full, right? Hookuk didn't care. It happily jumped onto the pile of green onions. As long as there was a place to play, it was happy. The mother bear liked to see her cub happy, so Kuk rolled over, enjoying sliding on the soft, smooth pile of onions, making Seijin happy too. "Do you like it? It's as soft as a bed, isn't it? Take some when you go to sleep with Mom." Surprisingly, the status window popped up with the message, "Harvest Season Overflow Level 1 Wish Activated," causing the farmer to widen his eyes in astonishment. 70 pyong of onion fields had been blessed with a fruitful season, with the harvest rate increasing by 50% for the following week. Sejun and his animal companions gazed at each onion sprout, shining with a gentle light as if illuminated by joyful lanterns. Despite spanning 230 square meters, the onion fields stretched out smoothly, thanks to the bountiful season's effect, significantly reducing the initial growth time. So now, he had to harvest 3 times instead of the usual 2. Suddenly, he remembered how his farmer attribute had greatly increased due to Aileen's soup, making everything much easier. Turning to his rabbit tongue, Seijin asked for assistance. "Can you help me with this?" "Of course," came the confident reply. Rabbit Tongue's skills were top-notch these days, fully prepared to assist. Just then, a message from the tower manager popped up, asking if he had finished the soup. Seijin cheered. "Aileen, here it is," eagerly showing her an empty bowl. "All gone, and I even leveled up. Thanks a bunch." But Aileen had more questions. Another message appeared, asking about the taste of the soup. Seijin hesitated, unsure of how to respond. He laughed nervously, making Aileen feel uneasy. Then a third message popped up, expressing disappointment, wondering if the taste was awful. Struggling to keep up the charade, Seijin blurted out, It's delicious." The truth was, he had devoured the entire pot himself. Seijin tried to smooth things over, debating whether to exaggerate how tasty the soup was. His forced laughter quickly turned to panic as a new message appeared. The tower manager was holding her pot, offering to make another if he liked it that much. Seijin rushed to the announcement board, shouting, "No, Aileen, no." Seeing the message, tower manager is asking what's wrong, Seijin regained his composure and tried to find a suitable response. Didn't you say you were exhausted after putting so much effort into making the soup? You didn't have to go that far for me. I enjoy our conversations like this, so you don't have to exhaust yourself for me. I can cook, and I prefer seeing you enjoy the food, he finally managed to say. The window showed a series of ellipses, indicating uncertainty. Sejun breathed a sigh of relief, hoping his message got through. Inside, he silently pleaded, "Please, just let it be." Behind him, the little ones were transporting onions, while the system board remained idle because its owner, Eileen, was currently overcome with sweetness, getting her face buried in her hands. "Is he really thinking about me that much?" She giggled, feeling embarrassed. "This Park Sejun, he's just too proud of being this tower farmer." She was so happy that she punched a pillar with a stone, her heart pounding as if someone had just confessed their love to her. On Sejun's side, he saw an okay from the tower manager and felt even more grateful, thanking Eileen profusely. As the window opened with a musical tone, asking what was for dinner tonight, Sejun turned to the side and let out a sigh of relief. He had narrowly escaped disaster, but before a few seconds had passed, the ground beneath their feet shook as if an earthquake had struck. The tremors were so severe that the rabbits and Cook, who had been walking normally, fell to the ground. Sejun looked around in panic. What's happening? Mother Red Bear immediately went on high alert, pulling her cub closer and growling as the massive feet slammed down onto the onion fields. The onion sprouts were crushed, unable to withstand the weight of the Minotaur King. He had arrived, wielding a giant axe, large enough to wipe out Sejun's entire farm. However, at this moment, Sejun didn't know this was the Minotaur King. He only stared in disbelief at the giant figure and wondered, "Another Minotaur?" Without further ado, the Minotaur King opened his mouth and let out a deafening roar, sending gusts of wind blowing dozens of meters away, knocking down trees beneath his feet as if they were mere twigs. The terrifying roar of the Minotaur King made Sejun and the rabbit gang cover their ears, while also bracing themselves against the ground to avoid being blown away. They huddled together, except for Cook's mother, who remained unaffected. She raised her cautious gaze towards the noisy figure now wielding a double-bladed axe, stomping heavily in their direction. Sejun felt a creeping fear, not knowing what to do, his limbs trembling. This was a different Minotaur, not like Ox 3 and Ox 4. The status window informed him, the tower manager, that he was facing the Minotaur King, the boss of level 99. The young ones were startled, couldn't believe it. Was this figure above Ox 3 and Ox 4? Thanks to the status window, Sejun learned that the tower manager had said the boss of level 99 was a waypoint guardian, the anchor point of the tower's teleportation, so he couldn't leave his base frequently. Reading this, Sejun felt a cold sweat running down his spine. If he was the guardian of the teleportation point, could he just kick him out? Was the Minotaur King the monster Cook's mother had instructed him to defeat? But more importantly, why would such a high-level monster appear here? Sejun asked the tower manager, only understanding a few ancient words, but the tower manager would converse with him, right? Eileen couldn't talk directly to any character in the tower, but with the vast collection of books found in her library, she knew there was a rule that the level 99 boss monster couldn't leave the teleportation area. The dragon flipped through the large book to find that rule. It must have been written in the guidebook left by her grandfather, right? There it was. Eileen found the page, resting her hand on the orb, hesitantly using the tower manager's power, summoning the level 99 boss monster, Minotaur King. The orb lit up as she spoke, then the status window displayed just one line. The tower manager's power could not be executed. Needless to say, Eileen was horrified. What was this? Why didn't the status window respond to her request? Why wasn't the tower manager's power invincible? But it didn't answer Eileen. Instead, Sejun's side showed some despondent words from the dragon that the tower manager said he couldn't talk to the Minotaur King. Why? She didn't know. The ground beneath their feet trembled more violently as the Minotaur King approached. The rabbits huddled around Sejun. Ink wielded its hammer ready for battle, while the farmer didn't know what to do. The tower manager said there was no way to stop the terrifying monster charging towards them. The Minotaur King charged furiously, his eyes gleaming, trampling all foliage beneath his feet. It would only be a matter of seconds before he reached them. The red bear stood up to face the approaching monster, causing everyone to panic and watch. Though not as massive, it was the only one capable of confronting the Minotaur King to protect everyone. Seeing the mother bear stepping towards the monster, Sejun panicked and called out, "No, he's not at the level that Kukuk's mother can handle." But with no other choice, the mother bear wouldn't allow anyone to encroach on her territory, let alone threaten the safety of her cub. So even though the farmer shouted warnings that it was the level 99 boss monster, the mother red bear kept plodding forward without looking back, her dark-hooved feet pounding heavily on the ground, not even sparing the leaves, trampling the tree roots into a mess. The Minotaur King took a big step forward, then leaped up with his double-bladed axe raised high, his massive body blocking out the sunlight, making it feel like he was about to pounce on the whole group. He roared loudly, so terrifyingly that it seemed to shake the very enzymes, the scars on his face looking ferocious and dreadful. No one thought they stood a chance, so they just hugged each other with closed eyes, screaming loudly, thinking it was the end, that their hard-working farmer lives were about to be cut short. Aileen grabbed the orb, rushing forward, shouting, "No, Park Sejun!" She felt truly scared and helpless seeing the danger looming over her farmer friend, without being able to do anything about it. The thunderous crash of the double-bladed axe hitting the ground sounded like an explosion, rocks and soil flying everywhere, but fortunately not hitting the farmers who were a bit farther away. Sejun widened his eyes in surprise, seeing that weapon not striking him, and the giant figure also moved past without harming them, making the whole group release each other and stand frozen in place. The Minotaur King bent down, burying his face into the pile of leaves that Sejun and his group had gathered for food. With one hand stuffing a leaf into his mouth and another hand ready to add more, his large mouth kept chewing incessantly. The entire area was filled with the sound of munching leaves and a satisfied echoing. But unlike before, it was a sound of contentment, enjoying the tasty meal. The Minotaur King exuded bliss, drool dripping down his chin as he buried his face back into the pile of leaves. Sejun's group stood dumbfounded. Even the mother red bear looked bewildered at the strange scene unfolding before them without any hostile intent. The farmers and children had nothing more to say. They had thought the level 99 boss monster was some fearsome creature. Turns out it was just a giant cow that liked to eat green leaves. They all stood there without a clue in their head, watching the Minotaur King burying his face into the pile of leaves without paying any attention to them. As he continued chewing, suddenly he seemed to have remembered something and stopped, putting the half-chewed leaf back into his mouth. Using his huge hands, he scooped up all the remaining leaves in one go, mouth still holding onto the axe handle, and straightened up with effort. The pile of leaves that Sejun's group had gathered for a whole afternoon now looked so light in the Minotaur King's hands. He said nothing, just hugged the bundle of leaves to his chest and walked away, heading back towards the teleportation point. Sejun exclaimed in surprise, Oh, look! He's running away with our leaves!" The Minotaur King left just as he had arrived, the only difference being that his mouth was now busy with the axe handle, so he couldn't roar like before. Sejun followed the monster's departing figure with his eyes along with his bundle of leaves, speechless. "So, what was that boss here for?" he muttered. The status window appeared beside him, showing that the tower manager seemed relieved as the tower's farmer was safe. She felt sorry for the field now in such a mess. Sejun had regained his optimism. "Thanks, Aileen. You don't need to worry," he said cheerfully. "I'm glad it's over." He looked in the direction the Minotaur King had left, silently communicating with the notice board. "I should have visited the level 99 boss monster earlier," he thought. "What's visiting?" A new message appeared, asking what he meant. Sejun furrowed his brow, trying to figure out why the Minotaur King had come here alone. He put on a mysterious look and said to Aileen, "Minotaurs highly value the honor of a warrior, don't they? So surely the Minotaur King esteems that even more." Aileen was taken aback, staring intently at the farmer smiling on the other side of the globe. The dragon began to vaguely guess his intentions, raising her large claws. Frowning, she muttered, "Don't tell me I'm thinking right." Indeed, the farmer smiled innocently, thinking about how he destroyed his field, even devouring it greedily. How many times would he have to make him pay back? That evening, there were many roasted corns, tomatoes, and onions laid out on the table. However, compared to what they had eaten recently, tonight's dinner seemed a bit plain. Sejun gathered his entire rabbit family and declared, "Let's eat now so we can fix the field that was destroyed by the Minotaur King yesterday." As soon as Sejun finished speaking, the group of golden fur lay down to eat, rubbing their bottoms and stomping on the ground, continuously showing their refusal, grumbling at their rabbit parents. Sejin sat down, lifting a few misbehaving ones onto his lap. They were too spoiled, crying because there was no meat here at all. Each one pretended to be pitiful in their own way, but they had promised to help their parents with the farming chores, so they all sat down properly to eat. Look there. Sejin glanced at the red bear sitting next to the pile of onions and roasted corn, eating contentedly. Even the bear behaved well without any complaints. They would all grow up when the blue moon arrived, wouldn't they? Do they want to remain children forever? Finally, Sejin managed to persuade the rabbits to eat what was laid out. He was satisfied, praising, "Very good, you must eat like this. This is how cute little white rabbits should be." But praise must be given to Cook. Sejin approached and patted the head of the bear, who was hugging the roasted corn to his chest. The bear behaved very well today, not picky at all. Wait a minute. Sejin looked closely at the reddish bear. Why hasn't it grew bigger these past few days? If we consider the growth rate from before until now, it should be bigger. Sejin anxiously felt the chubby belly, clearly not lacking food. Or are you sick somewhere? Unable to find the cause of the bear's slow growth, suddenly he heard a familiar call from afar, echoing, making Sejin raise his head. Chairman, who else but the merchant cat, the mid-range traveling merchant, had returned after a long trading journey. Seeing the waving cat, "I'm back." Sejin was about to go and greet it when he noticed on the shoulders of Ox 3 and Ox 4 there were some unfamiliar figures. He curiously asked, "Who are they?" Ox 4 replied, "These are from the Silver Wolf tribe." The Silver Wolf tribe, meaning wolves? Sejin asked in amazement, so Theo jumped on him, clinging to his leg, and explained, "They targeted me, Chairman. Ox 4 threatened them so much they were scared to death, not knowing what to do with them, so I brought them back for you to decide." Looking at these silent silver furs, Sejin didn't know what to do. Then first, let's listen to why they targeted the merchant cat on the journey. Are they asleep? Ox 4 grabbed his fist as an illustration, explaining that they were too noisy on the way here, so I had to use considerable force. Ah, meaning they'll wake up soon, right? Sejin was about to ask again when Theo on his shoulder noticed the desolated scene behind and curiously asked, "Why is the field like that?" He looked over there and then back at Ox 3, Ox 4, saying straight away that the Minotaur King had been here and gone. Hearing the monster's arrival, both of them panicked, asking why the commander came here. Ox 3 turned to Ox 4, asking, "How did the boss know we were here?" Even Ox 4 didn't know, only knowing that this time they were doomed. Seeing their frightened expression, Sejin spoke up. "Let's leave the details of that story for later. I'm sure you two worked hard to come back here, right? Now, let's eat." They're having dinner too. At the mention of food, both of them forgot who was in charge and cheered enthusiastically, praising the food. Leaving the three wolves rolling around for Sejin, the two of them stood shoulder to shoulder, receiving the food. Just hearing that made them happy. "I want corn," Ox 4 said. Ever since eating onions, it had been content, but now being able to choose what it wanted to eat, of course, it was delighted. As for Theo and the chairman, Theo whispered that it had something important to tell the chairman. Of course, Sejin wanted to know what it was. Theo began to talk about what happened while trading, and Sejun listened attentively. It recounted about the incident on the 38th floor, unaware of the looming shadow in a cloak with sharp claws poised above their heads. As soon as it descended, both of them jumped in shock and turned around. Cook rushed from behind to punch the figure in the cloak, but the wolf agilely jumped back, avoiding it. The punch landed on the ground, leaving a big hole. If it had hit the wolf's head, it would have been much worse. It was the first time Sejin saw the red bear in such a fierce fighting state, so he asked in surprise what it was doing. Cook didn't take his eyes off the sneak attacker, but indeed, Elka had escaped. Its four limbs slid on the ground, somehow breaking free from the ropes. Now it was free from Sejin's control. Cook angrily stared at the large hole in the ground, cursing the damn wolf. It was almost punched out, but anyway, it succeeded. It was only then that Theo realized that the straw hat on Sejin's head had disappeared. He panicked and called out, "Chairman, it's gone." The farmer only realized his missing hat when it was too late. Behind him, two agile shadows rose high, where the Elko and Elki wolves should have been lying unconscious. Now they had gathered behind their silver wolf leader, creating an opposing faction to Sejin's farm. The two minotaurs heard the commotion and turned back, but it was too late. They could only watch from behind Sejin. Elka pulled out the straw hat from the human's head, holding it in its tiny paw, lowly thanking it for letting it take the hat. The wolf leader affirmed that it passed by Sejin just for this hat. Now that it had achieved its goal, it would definitely leave with its 2 followers. If it were just an ordinary hat, Seijin would probably have marveled at how quickly the wolves took it without him noticing, but it was a very useful item for Seijin in farming, so he stared in disbelief at the straw hat in the wolf's hand, unsure of what to do. Everything happened too quickly. By the time Ox 3 and Ox 4 nudged closer to Seijin, the wolves had already taken his hat and leaped in the opposite direction. They looked very slick and healthy, now quite far away, beyond the reach of Ox 3's punches. Seijin was stunned, reaching up to touch his bare head, unable to believe these wolves had managed to steal his straw hat. Theo on his shoulder indignantly exclaimed that these dogs pretended to faint to steal the straw hat. Elka ignored the insults, with the entire Grey Wolf tribe's meal now in its hands. Hastily, Elka put the hat in its mouth, and the tribal leader called Elko and Elkai to leave this place. Who let them go? Did they forget who the rightful owner of this territory was? A massive foot slammed down in front of the wolf pack, causing them to pause. Worry was evident on Elka's face, growing more tensed when it saw the angry red bear mother growling down at it with fiery eyes. In terms of size, there was no comparison. The mother bear was undoubtedly dominant. Its large shadow loomed over them. Even the tribal leader Elka didn't know where to run. With its mouth still twisted around the hat, Elka was not aware that there was such a terrifying monster on the 99th floor. With just a "huh," the mother bear angrily stomped its foot on the ground, causing the entire wolf pack to recoil, huddling together, filled with fear as the mother bear roared, wanting to blow away their fur. Just the sound of her authority was enough to terrify them all. If she kept pushing, she might end up killing them all. Elka dropped the hat to the ground, standing on its hind legs, raising its front paws to look at the mother bear with a pleading expression, conceding defeat. A moment later, the straw hat was back in Seijin's hands, and he happily patted it, brushing off all the dirt on it. The hat was slightly damaged from Elka's bite, but it still fit well. Seijin was overjoyed to see it intact, not torn. The 2 curious bees buzzed around his head, examining the hat. They couldn't understand why the farmer seemed so relieved to find it intact. Having successfully retrieved the item, Seijin looked ahead to decide what to do next, which seemed quite challenging. To the left of the wolf pack were the 2 large minotaurs glaring at them. Ox 4 flexed her muscles, indicating she should break their legs to discipline them. The mother bear still looked angry, nodding in agreement with a few familiar grunts. Below, Cook was glaring at the wolf tribe leader, as if it were a bullet, ready to shoot. Chaos ensued as it slapped the wolf leader. Elko and Elki, of course, dared not speak, bowing their heads to avoid looking at anyone in the group. Now, what should be done with these angry monsters? At that moment, Theo acted as a good interpreter, touching Cook's leg, saying, "Chairman, the little bear suggests we eat these wolves." Seeing its determined face, it was clear it wasn't making up stories. Only Seijin was horrified by the idea of eating wolf meat. He gently approached and stroked the mother bear's head, explaining, "Cook, we can't do that. Would you eat a little honey instead of them? The 2 princes will bring you some." At the mention of honey, Cook's eyes lit up, drooling. It was indeed an easygoing child. With the princes nodding eagerly, the 2 of them quickly ran off, instantly calming the crowd. Theo jumped onto the farmer, clinging to his pants as Seijin tried to relax everyone. "All right, everyone, calm down and let's talk. Come here and sit down for a chat," the farm owner said, and everyone obediently listened. Ox 4 sat down right where she had been standing, and the mother bear followed suit. Only Elka was still puzzled, wondering why the huge minotaurs and the giant red bear obediently listened to the commands of that human. Elko chimed in. "Tribal leader, the merchant cat's journey clearly referred to that as chairman earlier. Is that some kind of nickname used on the 99th floor?" Suddenly, Elki screamed in fear. "It's the Black Dragon! The Black Dragon! If it's not the Black Dragon, there's no way those monsters on the 99th floor would listen to him." Elka and Elko hadn't said anything yet when Elki continued. "It must be the Great Black Dragon indeed. The chairman is how they refer to that Black Dragon." While Elka wasn't sure of the truth, Elki's words made sense. All creatures on different floors may not have seen it firsthand, but they've all heard about the mighty Black Dragon ruling the 99th floor. However, the Silver Wolf leader looked suspiciously at Seijin. Could the legendary creature be this seemingly weak human? Hello. Whoever can read this, comment number 6, let me know. Elka suddenly gathered everyone's attention. Lost in thought, Elka admonished himself not to let his guard down in this form. He understood. This must be the Black Dragon's trial. Suddenly, Aileen excitedly stood up and flapped her wings. Clearly, they had mistaken the farmer for the most powerful entity in the tower. But wasn't that a good thing? So Aileen quickly sent a message to Seijun. He was a bit surprised at the timing of the notification, but seemed slightly puzzled. The message read, "The tower manager specifically overlooks her being impersonated as the Great Black Dragon. New task. Show the Silver Wolf tribe what the authority of the Great Black Dragon is like. Aileen's pleasure is the reward. Failure to fulfill the task will result in Aileen's disappointment." Seijun silently read and reread the message, not responding, leaving the dragon to assume he was frozen. The message board kept popping up to encourage him to continue the charade, which surely would be helpful. After a while, the farmer realized Aileen's intention, and only because he realized it did he blush anew. Goodness, so Aileen is truly the Black Dragon, not just a winged pig? I'm truly foolish, but that's enough. Seijun chuckled at his own foolish expression. Aileen was called the tower manager, so he had suspected something odd, but hadn't noticed anything strange. Theo didn't know where Seijun's psychological development was going. It panicked, calling out to the chairman, "What's going on?" He didn't respond, quickly making a decision. If Aileen wanted that, then he had to play along with her, right? So Seijun crossed his arms, mumbled, "You say I'm the Black Dragon? Well, all right. Then I've been discovered. I didn't think anyone could recognize me in this form. Since I'm already acting, let's go all out." He raised his hand to his face, his eyes performing a perfect Oscar-winning act, accompanied by a deep, majestic tone. "Ho-ho, indeed, I am the Great Black Dragon. How dare you covet my belongings and threaten my subjects? I won't overlook this." The land fell into silence. No one dared to say a word. The three wolves knelt on the ground, tearful until now, but now their eyes were directed straight at Seijun, unable to hide their surprise. Aileen couldn't maintain her composure. She shouted, "Oh my heavens, what is he doing? This is not what I wanted at all. Hey, is this for real?" Eating a numbingly cold piece, whether it's genuine or not, wasn't our main topic of discussion anyway. Clutching Seijun's sleeve, I asked the Chairman Park what he was up to, making one's skin crawl. Still maintaining a dignified demeanor, Seijun handed out a reward bar, graciously giving it to his adorable subordinate. "Isn't it that you want to impress the Great Black Dragon? It's not what Seijun says that's important, but what he presents." Snatching the reward bar and immediately hitting the ground, while putting it in his spatial pocket, foot simultaneously rubbing against Elka's nose as he proclaimed, "Chairman Park is indeed the Black Dragon, and I am the Black Dragon's subordinate. Everyone, kneel before the Black Dragon." Elka bowed closer to the ground, continuing earnestly to apologize to the Great Black Dragon. "If you're obedient, you should humbly confess your sins. I've committed a major offense that cannot be forgiven. I, Elka, the chieftain of the Silver Wolf tribe, will sacrifice my life here, but I really hope you can spare these lowly beings and overlook this transgression." "All right," Seijun said cheerfully, telling everyone to stand up. "I will give you all a special opportunity to be forgiven for your sins." Elka looked up in surprise. Did he really say that? She looked at Seijun's bare hand and his eager eyes when she uttered 10,000 gold coins, which were quite shocking. 10,000 gold coins were the price for hunting the life of the traveling merchant cat. "I will forgive you if you can pay this amount." "What?" Elko and Elki exclaimed in disbelief. 10,000 gold coins? Contrary to the wolves' shocked expressions, Theo's eyes gleamed as he asked the chairman again, "Is my life worth that much?" "Of course," Seijun affirmed. "You are the traveling merchant cat, responsible for distributing products from my farm. And above all, quick, bring out the contract. The cat is okay with that. Rummage through your spatial pocket to find what is required." Beside him, Elka hesitantly spoke up. "Great Black Dragon, we really don't have that much money." Theo threw the paper to the ground, exclaiming in frustration, not caring at all about the wolves' dismay. "If you don't have money, then redeem yourselves with your lives." "What does that mean? Redeem ourselves with our lives?" Elka bowed down to ask Theo. He nodded with a smile. "You have to pay the price by working here." Elko immediately stepped forward to remind, "Chief, what about the contract with Grid?" That's exactly what Elka was thinking about. The monsters in the Black Tower always knew they could only make contracts with one party, so now the chieftain had to think hard. The entire tribe's livelihood rested on his shoulders. Leading the pack of wolves, Elka knelt before Seijun, reluctantly but had to apologize. "Oh, Great Black Dragon, we cannot comply with your request." "Why is that?" Both Seijun and Theo were surprised. "Just a moment ago, you were willing to die to atone for your sins. Now you're refusing to work for the farm? However, Sejin hadn't spoken yet. Aileen's message popped up with annoyance. The tower manager said she couldn't forgive those who dare to refuse the Black Dragon's offer. So to reconcile both sides, Sejin gently knelt down next to Chieftain Elka, asking if he must have a reason. "Can you tell me?" Elka confessed sincerely. "On the 85th floor, where my tribe resides, we are currently suffering from a severe shortage of food due to prolonged drought. So those of us with strength became freelance mercenaries hired by Grid to work, and occasionally he provides food for the 85th floor." She raised a claw to Sejin's head, softly saying that the task Grid gave us this time was to find and steal that straw hat. Now that we know it turns out to be an item of the Great Black Dragon, so the plan has surely failed. Therefore, the food being provided to the 85th floor will definitely be stopped. And while we're working for the Great Black Dragon, the young wolves in our tribe will starve to death. So please have mercy on us so we can repay with our lives, O Great Black Dragon. Ah, Sejin finally understood. He kindly asked, "What's your name?" After hearing the pitiful story of the wolf tribe, Theo no longer felt aggressive and climbed onto Sejin's shoulder to listen. The old wolf bowed her head and introduced herself as Elka, "O Great Black Dragon." Sejin also asked, "Elka, what do you think of this place?" The wolf and his companions looked around in surprise. Seeing the straight rows of crops on the plowed land, they hesitantly replied that this was where you planted crops. Ah! Suddenly Elka realized what she had just said. If this place was a farm, then didn't the Great Black Dragon need them to work on the farm? Sejin immediately reached out to Elka, telling her to stand up. "I have added a condition to this contract. The condition for your entire tribe to pay 10,000 gold coins. In return, during the time you work here, I will provide food for the entire Silver Wolf tribe to eat." Sejin eagerly announced to Elka, seeing her silent for a while. He asked, "What do you think?" with a smile on her shoulder as if urging, "What else is there to hesitate about?" Of course, Elki and Elko hugged each other joyfully and exclaimed, "Leader, now we don't have to listen to that damn pig's orders anymore. We're alive." Before Elka could respond, she heard them rejoicing like that, so she quickly called them back to courtesy, thanking the Great Black Dragon. "Thank you very much. We will do our best." Speaking of which, the chieftain couldn't hide his tears of emotion. The conflict between food supply and the pride of the Silver Wolf tribe has been bothering him for so long. Now there is a solution, and this solution makes everyone happy. Even Ox 3 and Ox 4 seemed happy too. No one was aggressive anymore. Everyone was happy with the outcome of this story. Aileen watched the development through the crystal ball. She didn't expect Sejin's actions to bring so much joy. Her dragon lips couldn't help but curl into a smile, suddenly feeling adorable. The status board showed a notification. The mission was completed. The tower manager was extremely happy that the title of the Great Black Dragon had been elevated. Elka then stamped her footprints on the contract, officially becoming a member on Sejin's farm. She gestured to Theo. "It's in the contract. The traveling merchant cat here will manage you in the future. You will become subordinates of traveling Theo." Suddenly promoted again, Theo joyfully pointed to himself, reminding them all, "You must listen to me very well from now on." He played his role as a superior very well, bringing the pack of wolves to greet Ox 3 and Ox 4. "They are your seniors, so please work with respect, my employees." The wolves bowed in greeting, making Theo very happy. He laughed cheerfully hearing Elka apologize to the Minotaur. Everything was going smoothly, but there was something that kept Sejin thinking. Is the landlord Grid that they mentioned a difficult character in this tower? There will surely be many threats to him in the future. From now on, it's fortunate to have these wolves protect Theo whenever he goes down to lower floors. So Ox 3 and Ox 4 can comfortably plow the fields here. It's really a pair of good news. Sejin was contemplating when Theo approached him saying he was too hungry, Chairman. "Give me some fish and share with these wolves too." Lost in worry about the wolf pack, Sejin forgot about this matter, didn't he? Sejin hesitated to inform the cat, not sure how to put it. Look at its excited face, unsure how it would take bad news. Indeed, the ancient cave echoed with the wailing. It wasn't just crying, it was rolling on the ground, lamenting. "No fish. How could there be no fish?" The president cheated. Sejin frowned, looking at it with an unhappy expression, wondering why it kept crying. "I'm trying everything I can." With a hammer in hand, Sickle looked at the unhappy cat, warning it to be careful, or it might get hit on the head with the hammer. Yet, Theo was still sulking, insisting on quitting if there were no fish. Sejin knew it was just being stubborn, so he didn't pay much attention, reaching down to check the water. asking Ink if the toxicity here had noticeably decreased. Are you ready, Ink? Let's explore your new hunting ground. Ink, with determination, gripped its hammer tightly, leaping up as soon as Seijun gave the order to begin. Full of confidence, the little one swung the sharp end of the hammer down. Though the hammer appeared to be made of wood, one strike from Ink shattered the rock into pieces, scattering them everywhere. The pile of rocks became a large chunk on the pond, now falling loudly below, revealing a slightly larger passage than Ink. The farmer hunched over, assessing. Well done, Ink. Now the passage is slightly larger, right? So you'll find it easier to enter and exit. As soon as he finished speaking, Seijun saw Ink ducking down below, presenting its backside to him to explore the cave. This was also the exit for the piranha and river shrimp, hoping there would be no issues while going down. However, Ink quickly resurfaced, taking a deep breath to compensate for the time spent underwater. Seijun was slightly surprised but still asked, "What do you think?" It covered its eyes with both hands, shaking its head, continuously uttering Pika, indicating that this trip was quite short, so the information gathered was limited. Seijun pondered for a while, asking if it was pitch dark inside and nothing could be seen. It agreed, making him reconsider his plan. Thought it'd be easy, but it wasn't, as it seemed more dangerous than expected. He lifted his leg onto the shore, looking at Theo playing with the yellow fur bunny cubs with delight. Every time Theo returned from business trips, they immediately clung to him. One hugged, one carried, one even tucked into his pocket. Seijun had to interrupt its joyful time and ask, "Do you have any items that allow Ink to see in the dark, like a lantern?" Theo put a bunny on its head, shaking the bag to drop another bunny to search. It said it didn't have any items like that, but it still had some odds and ends to try. Because there was no night in the tower, Theo had never had to use light-emitting items, so the cat wasn't sure what it was supposed to look for. The items in the bag, when shaken, fell all over the ground. These were the coins it earned from selling tomatoes, and this was what it bought on the way here. There was even a box of canned fish that caught the attention of the yellow fur bunny, and something purple that caught Seijun's eye. That's all the usable stuff in the bag. The cat was about to announce it had nothing to use. Seijun picked up the purple stone and asked, "What's this?" "Oh, it's an item that can read information, but the status board only said it's a scratched gemstone necklace. Unlimited use. Production location undisclosed, only knowing it's grade E." This was too strange. He couldn't get any information himself. Seijun called up the system board and handed it over to Eileen to evaluate. Could she assess this item like she did with the straw hat? The gemstone necklace quickly disappeared from Seijun's hand, replaced by 2 management notice boards telling him to hand them over to her. She said it was the best choice in the current situation. Seijun was also glad she agreed to help him understand, because if it had fallen into his hands, he wouldn't have known any better. As a token of gratitude, the farmer offered a bowl of onions full of ripe tomatoes, smelling delicious. It disappeared quickly and was returned with a completion notice board. This was the reward after completing the task, and you requested an evaluation of the light necklace. True to its newly introduced name, the necklace flew back to Seijun's hand in a completely different form. It returned to its original golden color with lots of sparkling lights, looking brand new, with no scratches visible to the naked eye before. Seijun carefully examined it in his hand, pleasantly surprised that the necklace had been evaluated, now looking strange with its very apt name, the Light Necklace. It was originally an amber stone with a light magic enchantment on top, limited use for level 5 and above, and a mana level greater than 3. Manufacturer, Mage Horan of the Blue Tower, grade C, with several notable skills such as level 1 illumination, brightening the surrounding environment when used. The higher the user's level, the stronger the light. "Oh my, this is exactly what we need," Seijun exclaimed in amazement. It can brighten the environment when used. Ink also cheered nearby, having found its nap spot with a cozy blanket. The yellow fur bunch gathered around curiously, making the farmer very happy. With this, we can see the surroundings inside the pond hole. Theo pointed at himself, asking Seijun if it was helpful. "So can I have more free time now?" Solemnly grasping the cat's pink hands in his, Seijun slowly said, "Truly the best of the best." Theo didn't understand what the human was saying, round-eyed, waiting for Seijun to explain. Unexpectedly, he said, "From now on, you will be Link's Theo permanently, so you won't need a time ticket anymore." Its mouth widened in a smile, not quite believing. What did he mean? Seijun raised it up. "From today on, Theo, I officially appoint you as a sales employee, responsible for distributing our agricultural products. You have worked very diligently during this time, Lynx Theo. The cat waved its pink hands in ecstatic disbelief. Really? So from now on, I'll always be Lynx Theo. Haha, I'm Lynx Theo. As if that wasn't enough, Seijin also rewarded a very attractive gift. To commemorate your promotion, today I'll make you President Theo. The cat danced some joyful dance, truly enjoying itself. With the excitement overflowing, the cat immediately used its power. President Theo ordered him to use the necklace and bring back a lot of fish. Seijin eagerly accepted. He and Ink had put on the light necklace, very excited to respond. Alright, let's try it again. Because our goal is to regain our protein source, the whole cave is bustling with anticipation of the bright future ahead. The light necklace was handed over to Seijin to try. It emitted a soft light like a lamp, making the young man ecstatic. Wow, the gentle light is beautiful. He took off the string, telling Ink that the system said the higher the user's level, the stronger the light. Should we try it on you, Ink? Of course, the rabbit wanted to, raising its hand to Pika, waiting for its turn to try, then opening its mouth to laugh proudly as the sparkling necklace blurred its vision. Seijin covered his face, moved to the side, both jealous and unable to believe that his mana lost to a rabbit like Ink. The more it knew itself than the farmer, the more it arrogantly rubbed it in, almost unable to hold back laughter. Well, let's just accept that I lost to this black rabbit. Now what's important is looking into that hole. Now we can rest assured. Seijin's rope passed through Ink's chubby belly, taking the opportunity to give the little one some onions to detoxify. Just in case it's needed, eat first to be safe. Seijin wrapped a loop around Ink's waist 90 times, instructing him that if he felt suffocated or sensed any danger, he should tug the rope twice, and Seijin would pull him back immediately. Ink nodded briskly, seeming very ready. Seijin, like a worried father on his child's first journey, equipped himself with a dagger and a pouch because using a hammer underwater seemed challenging. Ink received it right away, then confidently waved goodbye to the farmer. One end of the rope would be held by Seijin, not forgetting to wish him to be careful. Ink took a deep breath, filled his lungs, then closed his eyes and submerged himself in the ink-black water of the pond. It pushed itself deep into the cave, using its front legs to propel itself down, while its hind legs kicked to create momentum. The light from the entrance of the cave quickly faded behind its back, but thanks to the light necklace, it remained brightly illuminated, and soon Ink found a bright spot at the end of the cave. Just looking at it, this place seemed deep. Without the light necklace, it would definitely be darker down here. As it approached the light source, Ink realized it wasn't too dazzling, but in this dark place, it became more eye-catching than usual. The end of the large cave was much larger than Ink, and it easily pushed itself through to the other side, surrounded entirely by water. On a rock, there were several stones emitting sparkling light, making this place brighter than usual. In all 8 directions around the rabbit were water, making it seem like a vast ocean. Life seemed to have existed here since ancient times, with long, root-like plants without visible ends. Some even hugged a glowing sphere, probably the main light source here. All around were various kinds of fish, usually only seen in the deep sea, such as sharks, swordfish, whales, and flocks of those that followed schools, shimmering and circling around. Ink looked around, noticing a catfish about to poke its head above the water or something, where the light above it was much brighter than down here. Suddenly, it noticed a few floating things around it without a purpose, and upon closer inspection, it saw that they were dead piranhas. In the distance were some shrimp floating upside down and a strange creature Ink had never seen before. It looked somewhat like a fish, but longer and smoother, much larger, but fortunately it was already dead. Ink continuously waved its long ears to stay afloat. It guessed these were dead because of the toxic green soup that had spilled into the pond. Ink took advantage of it to float towards the dead electric eel, pulled out a knife from its side, and while one hand gently touched its head to keep it still, the other quickly stabbed straight down a long line. The farmer's knife was indeed of good quality. In this underwater environment, Ink only needed a gentle hand, and it cut deeply into the electric eel's flesh. Suddenly, a golden light emanated from within, like a flashlight. Ink stopped, withdrew the knife, and looked inside. It was a block of golden light, completely different from the gloomy appearance of the eel. Ink didn't know what it was, but it guessed it was something very valuable. It quickly reached in and took it out. The system board indicated that it was an item called the core of the electric eel, but Ink didn't know what it was. It didn't know if it was edible, but it seemed useful. Thinking about the prospect of Seijun cuddling it, praising it as the black rabbit, the unbeatable one, and leaving the cat Theo aside, it suddenly felt happy and drooled. Haha, this will be something for me to get pampered by the president. There wasn't much breath left to explore longer, so after a while, Ink successfully put the core into the pouch on its body. Then it used the leftover onion rope to wrap it twice around the head of the electric eel, intending to pull it up with it to let Seijun see if it was edible. After all, those on the farm had never seen what an electric eel looked like. Suddenly, Ink heard the sound of something rushing towards it, splitting the water into various streams. Just as it turned around alertly, it saw a gaping mouth full of large teeth about to bite down. This fat fish must have targeted Ink since the core of the eel emitted light. Quick-wittedly, Ink jumped up and avoided the terrifying bite of the shark, but its small body was carried away by the water created by the shark. Originally, it would have returned after a while, but Ink forgot that its waist was tied to the electric eel. So, Rabbit Ink suddenly realized that its belly was being pulled down along with the falling electric eel. With all the air held in its mouth, in its lungs, suddenly bursting out of its mouth, Ink screamed in panic, swallowing a bunch of water. Just as its whole body was being pulled deep down, the middle part of the electric eel split in two, and the remaining onion rope was pulled tight. But Ink started to faint from lack of air, and the stupid shark chased after the tail of the eel, so it didn't notice that the top of the eel was tied to Ink. Ink began to suffocate, its mind drifting amidst the sea of water. Trying to use the last of its remaining alertness, the rabbit tugged the onion rope twice, hoping the farmer would understand this weak signal. Fortunately, the rope in Seijun's hand was clearly tugged, and he sensed that Ink's tug had a purpose. He quickly stood up, announcing to everyone that it was a signal for Ink to be pulled up. He stood firmly in the middle of the pond, leaning back and calling all the rabbits to pull with all their might. In addition to its own muscles, the rabbits held the rope together, following Seijun's signal to pull back. Since they were all rabbits used to farm work, they didn't exert too much effort. Only the golden ones were screaming as if they were playing tug-of-war with their siblings. They successfully pulled Ink up, but instead of its usual lively face, Ink's body collapsed, its ears drooping along with the flowing water, causing Seijun to panic and rush to its side. The black rabbit had passed out from drowning, making the farmer kneel down and try to wake it up. Why was there no movement at all? Seijun shook and nudged it, calling out loudly, but Ink remained unresponsive, its eyes closed tightly. The cave was filled with worry and fear. Even the bees above had to cover their mouths to keep from screaming out loud. Had they been too slow, unable to pull Ink back to this life? While waiting for the next episode, you can also click on the My Stories menu to choose another story to read. What should I do now? Theo in panic, looking at the dark gray rabbit, its eyes tightly shut, not knowing what to do to help the farmer anymore. Seijun shook it for quite a while without any response, the rabbit's parents silent, staring at their little one, too worried to speak. Over there, Chubby Rabbit hugged a few golden-haired ones, not allowing it to move forward. The mother rabbit sobbed for her son, while its siblings each had their own expressions. Seijun took off his straw hat and handed it to the queen bee doe for a moment. He had to focus on bringing Ink Rabbit back to life. He pressed on its chest several times, but no effect. Seijun was about to give it a mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. However, this young man had never done CPR on a person, let alone a rabbit. He was about to bring his alluring lips close to Ink when suddenly it spurted water straight into his face, causing its eyes to gradually open. Water splashed into Seijun's eyes, nose, and mouth. Seijun turned away, spitting it all out, not wanting to know what it tasted like. The whole burrow erupted with joy, with the normally quiet sickle rabbit now wiping tears secretly, while the rabbit parents jumped for joy, embracing their bewildered son. Seijun's tears mixed with the water sprayed by Ink, looking back at it with deep emotion. "Ink, are you okay?" Ink just glared at him angrily, grunting, "Pikapaki," something the mother rabbit never allowed them to do. But now she cried tears of joy at her healthy son's recovery. Hearing Ink's irritated voice, Seijun knew it was scolding him for being slow. "You had me pulling the string for so long, almost drowned me." It wasn't wrong, but the clear reproach made Seijun unhappy. He clenched his fist, wanting to retort, but his small voice didn't dare. "Just stop complaining and be grateful you're still alive." The rabbit refused, stubbornly demanding its rights, its pouting face evident on Aileen's sphere. As Seijun took back his hat, muttering, I almost had to sacrifice my first kiss to save you, you know? Putting the hat back on, the farmer said lightly. It's a relief you're still alive, but with an ungrateful attitude like that, I don't want to say it out loud. Then he asked, why is the water so salty? That's the seawater, Sejun was told by the system instead of Aileen conversing. It seemed the ink rabbit was in the endless sea. Where is that? Sejun asked, not having heard of it before. The endless sea is something that exists between the layers of the tower. Because there are many dangerous and frightening creatures underwater, other creatures must use travel routes to move safely between different layers. But sometimes, there are water holes that lead to the endless sea, like the one inside the prehistoric cave pond. Sejun sat on the pond, reading further, the diverse sea creatures living in the endless sea, among them some delicious ones. He marveled, understanding why there were shrimp here. No wonder. I was wondering why salty creatures appeared in such a freshwater pond. Speaking of which, Sejun smiled and asked Ink, are there any fish we can eat in there? Forgetting his previous argument with the farmer, the rabbit eagerly rummaged through its pocket, saying, wait a moment. From the pocket dimension, Ink pulled out a spherical object, greasy-colored, proudly showing it to Sejun. At first, he knew it was the inner nucleus of the giant electric eel, which immediately became his possession. Sejun was amazed to see the inner nucleus of the giant electric eel for the first time. Thanks to the system, he knew it was called the inner nucleus because it had lived for 1,000 years. This grade A item emitted light due to the electrical energy inside it. Once absorbed, it would learn the skills of creating rain and making thunder. This item was only limited to use by people with mana above 10, and only by those who had defeated the electric eel, with Park Sejun's name specifically written below. So you really found the giant electric eel down there, huh, Ink? Sejun exclaimed excitedly, seeing the rabbit's ecstatic face. Following along on Sejun's shoulder, he asked, is that fish tasty? I've never heard of it, so if it's delicious, I'll like it a lot. Without saying a word, Ink used both hands to pull the remaining end of the cord, something heavy that stretched the cord tight. Ink pulled with all its might, revealing a head resembling a large fish head, pulled out of the hole in the pond, causing waves to splash. The whole burrow looked in awe at what Ink had just pulled out. It looked very much like a fish, with only Sejun gaping in amazement. Wasn't that the head of the electric eel? The rabbit family didn't know if it was a fish or an eel, so they had to let their saliva flow and curiously look at it for a moment. Not only that, the small hole in the pond where the electric eel had been blocked earlier had been cleared, and countless piranhas and shrimp rushed into the pond. Protein shifting locations to cram into the pond lit up Sejun's eyes. It had been so long since he'd seen this place bustling like this. Unbelievably, they were lured here just by a fat, electric eel's head. Sejun excitedly hugged the black rabbit and did some strange dance, continuously cheering. Our ink is so good. We've got meat now. We've got protein. Hearing the confirmation of meat from the farmer, the rabbit family was lively right underfoot. The rabbit dad even raised his hand to pet his son, rescuing the burrow from long-term vegetarianism. Everyone prepared to ignite the fire. Today, we'll have a meaty feast. Eat until our bellies are round and full. Of course, Sejun's call was warmly received by the rabbit family, and the pikas echoed throughout the burrow. Soon, Chef Sejun found a makeshift kitchen with a few sticks hanging a pot of boiling liquid, a vibrant yellow. The fragrant smell wafted through the burrow, tantalizingly filling the space, making mouths water. All the farmers had a temporary break to enjoy and prepare for the feast. Just as Sejun finished asking, he furrowed his brow again, asking if his family was in danger. Sitting across from Sejun, Theo recalled the recent trading trip, retelling all of Kim Dongshik's words and explaining why his family was in danger. He said he would protect his family. Despite hearing this, Sejun remained worried, unable to focus on the lavish feast preparations. Ox 3 and 4 sat beside a pile of large onion leaves. Nearby, 3 wolves tried the hot protein similar to what the rabbits were eating. Behind him, the mother and child red bears hugged and played after eating, paying no attention to Sejun's worries. It's surprising that our blue tomatoes are so famous on Earth, even more than we imagined. Who would have thought that our family would be in danger because of that? Are Dad, Mom, and Sed all okay? Alright, next time you go down the tower, ask Dongshik what he did to protect everyone. Remember to get detailed information, just to make President happy. Theo agreed immediately, but Sejun still had many doubts. That Mr. Kim Dongshik from the Phoenix Association, I owe him. I must repay him somehow. Hearing this, Theo quickly suggested, It seems like Mr. Dongshik really likes blue tomatoes. He stretched out his arms as Theo jumped onto him, realizing it was a good idea. If he likes what Sejun grows, that's great. Next time, we'll harvest things to give to him. With the worries outside the tower settled, Theo jumped onto him, begging for a soup stick for reward. I've been wanting to eat for so long. All right, the cat completed the mission well, so it couldn't go unrewarded. Sejun reached into his pocket to take out 2 soup sticks for it, but suddenly the eel's internal pearl fell out, catching Theo's attention. That's the pearl the black rabbit gave him. Sejun remembered the past few days of fishing, but forgot about this thing. Remember, it's called an internal pearl. We can acquire skills by absorbing it. Theo brought his nose closer, curious about what skills it gives. It only felt the very fragrant aroma emanating from it. Sejun held the internal pearl up to examine it more closely. It said it gives rain and thunder skills, probably a skill to generate electricity. So the cat asked immediately, like static electricity? It jumped off Sejun, disgusted, hating to look at. I don't like it. My fur will stand up and be ruined. Sejun, on the other hand, liked it a lot. Just hearing about it felt more powerful than anything wandering around his fields. He explained with a hearty laugh, after coming into this tower, I've only been learning skills related to farming, but now I get to learn other skills too. Finally, these things sound more like an adventure, right? Theo, uninterested, didn't think it resembled an adventure at all. He hardly ever leaves the burrow anymore. But what it was curious about was if Sejun could eat it. Meow? If he could get the desired skills, shouldn't he just eat it? Mentioning this only made Sejun feel more dejected. He admitted he couldn't eat it. Hearing Theo curiously ask why, the young man felt even more despondent, confessing it was because he lacked mana to absorb it. All other conditions were met, but his mana, from the beginning until now, has only been 8.5, and the condition for absorption must be above 10. Now he sat here, lips pouting, head throbbing in pain. And then Theo laughed outright, mocking him. Mr. Sejun has no mana, meow! How weak! After saying that, it rolled on the ground, laughing uncontrollably, making Sejun furious. He only asked back, how much mana do you have? No telling. Theo turned over on all fours, raised its furry rear towards the farmer, teasing him like that. No mana is the truth, but saying it out loud won't help at all. Sejun, annoyed, planned to sneak attack Theo from behind to make it stop laughing at the farm president. Unexpectedly, the glowing necklace around its neck suddenly vibrated as soon as Sejun touched it, emitting a dazzling light. Even Kukuk, being carried by his mom, squinted one eye to see what it was. So, the two turned around, seeing Sejun kneeling on the ground in pain, feeling uncomfortable. Oh my god, just thinking that everyone has more mana than me already makes me feel so devastated. Theo crossed his arms in front of Sejun, showing off his superiority, clearing his throat. Meow! I will protect you from today onwards. Kukuk approached him, pointing at himself with a cheerful tone, making the young man even more miserable. Even you want to make me sad, huh? I can't eat this thing. Even a bear cub can absorb the internal pearl. Why wouldn't the heavens give Sejun just 10 points? Ox 3 and 4 divided the sweet onion leaves pile, happily munching on each leaf with care. Although they've eaten this dish countless times, it's always wonderful. Nearby, 3 wolves were given 2 plates of grilled piranha wrapped in onion leaves, unsure how long it had been since they had such a delicious meal. Elka thanked the black rabbit while pushing a cart of fish for them to eat, while the rabbit family was still busy chewing on their food. Finished with the meal, Sejun cheerfully asked how the food was here, whether it suited everyone's taste. He worried that this fish wasn't enough, but it was already too much for the 3 wolves. They bowed on the ground with utmost reverence to greet the great black dragon. Sejun wasn't used to such formality, so he was a bit confused, waving his hand for them to stand up and eat well. Elko solemnly spoke on behalf of the tribal leader, saying, "Great black dragon, you have generously shared this precious food with us. It is indeed immeasurable merit." Elka added quietly, "The food is delicious," with a slightly deeper tone that caught Sejun's attention. Why does he look so dejected? Maybe he's thinking about the tribe members on the 85th floor? Elka startled when Sejun noticed his worry, bowing his head in apology. As predicted, it seems I can't hide anything from the eyes of the great black dragon. Those words were too solemn, but Sejun focused more on comforting him. Don't worry too much. You'll see the tribe members again soon. The blue moon is about to appear in a few days, so no matter what, you'll have to go down to the 85th floor, right? Sejun offered a condition. If they help with the work here, He will give a lot of fish to bring back to the tribe members. Elka led the way, bowing on the ground first, grateful to the great black dragon. With things settled here, Seijin looked at the cat on his shoulder, suggesting they should also cultivate and harvest the delayed seasons. Theo, being the boss, agreed immediately, as it was a chance for him to show authority. It quickly waved for its wolf employees to get to work, and they were very excited, obediently responding with a resounding yes. Seeing Oxes 3 and 4 still chewing on the last few strands of onions, Seijin also reminded them to get ready to leave. This place needs you tomorrow. Both of you will have to lead the way for me. The two bulls were surprised and puzzled. Why does this farmer need us to lead the way? Seijin's mysterious face seemed to wait for this question to be asked, so he could reveal the answer: to collect a debt from the Minotaur King. Seijin knew this answer would shock them. Indeed, Oxes 3 and Ox 4 shouted loudly. Their mouths dropped as they were eating, the onions falling out of their mouths in surprise. That's the leader of the highest level monsters of that tower. Why would you want to collect a debt from him? In the glowing transition point between the desolate area full of sand and wind of level 99, today was unusually quiet because all the bulls of the tribe had gathered in one place. Eating and eating the pile of onion leaves was in front of them. The right hand put onions into the mouth, while the left hand already held a strand. They ate with a very serious expression, as if they were always studying something. After a few minutes, they all roared with joy and happiness, even shedding tears. How long has it been since we enjoyed the taste of fresh grass? We're so happy! Delicious! Other minotaurs cheered along. However, the happiness in their hearts couldn't dispel the darkness in the heart of the Minotaur King. He buried his face in his hands, muttering to himself, "I've messed everything up," right when it was important. Remembering when he went to the border to find Ox 3 and Ox 4, and then saw the red-furred bear and a few others. What made him distraught was that he had become too excited, to the point where he forgot everything after seeing a pile of delicious and nutritious grass to enjoy, stacked right in front of him, and he dove in to eat without being able to do anything else. The Minotaur King abandoned all dignity and risks just to bury his face in the food, in front of others, making him feel utterly collapsed. He should have been stripped of the title of Minotaur Warrior, not to mention the king of this species. The more he thought, the more he felt hopeless, so he had to switch to something more positive. He tightly grasped a strand of grass. At least he had found something, a bunch of grass grown nearby, which was definitely a field. But who planted them with the red-furred bear? The Minotaur King tried to recall the small creatures standing next to the red-furred bear, but couldn't. They seemed blurry and indistinct. Neither their shapes nor species were clear. The Minotaur King had no idea who they were. After searching his memory for a while, he suddenly noticed the playful face of the rabbit father with its distinctly farmer-like hat on its head. The Minotaur King concluded that it must be the white rabbit who planted that field. Chewing on the grass to continue thinking, he didn't know why the red-furred bear was in the same place as the rabbit farmers, but it was interesting, wasn't it? The thought spun with the chewing sound. As a Minotaur warrior, one should not steal from creatures smaller than oneself. The blue moon is coming. The time allowed to leave the transition point will be reset from the beginning. As the protector of level 99's transition point, the total time allowed to leave is only 1 hour. He clenched his fists determinedly. Even if the time is short, I will prepare to return to that place again to pay a price for the grass taken from the white rabbit and the red fur. I cannot overlook the negotiation to get that quality grass. But with the large number of minotaurs in this tribe, I don't know how much to exchange to satisfy this amount of food. So he contemplated, what should I use to repay them? The stone in the glowing transition point sparkled under the sun, as if answering the Minotaur King's question. What do you think? Far away